Okay, I think we're going live. Sorry about that. There's a bit of a error with the camera there. Basically, it's just going to be a quick preview video, as the title says. I'm going to Sheffield Slaughter this weekend. I'm just doing a quick bit of hobby, getting the last minute preparations done. And it just talk a little bit about my army list, the compact, etc. Like I normally do. Guys seem to like these videos. I like sort of keeping myself busy while I'm doing hobby, just putting together movement trays at the moment. These trays from Sarissa Precision, if you're in the UK, best trays around, absolutely superb. Take a little bit of construction, but they are fantastic trays, highly recommended. So Sheffield Slaughter, it's this weekend coming. This is Thursday night as I'm recording. So a little over a day and a bit to go. It's a big event. There's like over 100 people going. I think 102 last sign up. Probably a few last minute dropouts or additions, whatever. These things tend to change, right up until the start of game one begins. It could be, any sort of variance on the actual number that starts playing, but it's over 100, which is biggest event I've ever been to. Last one that was this big was Warlords GT, which is like 88 people or 84, whatever it ended up being in the end. So, this is another 6 or 7 tables on top of that one. So really big event, lots of players going, lots of all the top players in the country going, and this is like the curtain raiser, if you like. So the Masters has just been here in the UK, and this is so as you could count, like we count Downfall, which is just before Christmas, just the first of the new tournament season. But this is like the curtain raiser for the year. This is the first big one of the year by far. I managed to sneak in basically last weekend when I found out I was going to go. So a week before, I had no intention of going, and here I am 5 days later, frantically sorting out hobby to get ready to go. So the tournament's pretty much uncomped. Not too sure how I feel about that. I mean, it's basically uncomped to the point where there's no restrictions on what you can take at all. But some of the weaker armies, which you might expect as the usual suspects, get to take 2,600 points, and the harder armies, which is Dark Elves, Demons, Legions of Chaos, the Elven Legions, they'll get penalised if you only take 2,200 points, and it's 2,400 point tournament. So basically the comp is to restrict the points allowed on the tough armies and boost the points allowed on the softer armies, which I kind of like, but it does mean there's a lot of fills. So it's going to be a really tough event to do well at. Aside from the points alterations, there's a slight change to some of the rules. So up to 2 characters per unit can take a lookout, sir, against the big spells. So kind of clamp down on Death Stars a little bit, but usually it means is you just pick the 2 most important characters. Normally you only have 2 in the unit that matter anyway. If you're building your Death Star properly, you shouldn't really have a reliance on more than 2. It's normally like your General and your BSB, or your Wizard and your BSB. So you keep those 2 alive, and then kind of like, if anyone else dies, they're a bit superfluous, and you'll see that with my list when I go through it in a minute. You can only generate 2 power dice per phase outside of channeling, so you can channel more than 2, but other than that, you can't channel any more. So say if you channel 1, and then you have like the casket can only give you 1 more. I think so anyway, or the casket could give you 2, and then you could channel as many as you wanted, I think, is how it probably is going to work, which makes more sense. Again, not sure how I feel about that. Kind of think there's not that many instances now where people can have used the sort of power dice. They've kind of taken all those things away in the rules at the moment. So I guess it's an ETC thing, because the other cap as well is you can't use more than 12 dice in a phase, which is to penalise death magic a little bit, just to stop people, you know, getting that purple sun and restarting the magic phase, as we've seen become like a main sort of tactic of 8th edition in recent times. The games are, it's a 6-game tournament, I think it's 6 games. Basically, each game is using battle line, apart from game 2, which is a modified watchtower, which is called 2 towers. And basically, it's watchtower, but there's 2 towers instead of just a 1. And I think it's basically just to stop the game ending in like a ridiculous point where someone has like 1 model left on the board, but he happens to be in the watchtower, so they win the game 20-0. You have to have at least 5 infantry or 2 monstrous infantry, I think, in the building to claim it. And if you have 1 and your opponent doesn't, then you win. If neither of you have it, then it goes to victory points, I think. Or it might be whoever's closest. I'll have to double check that before the weekend. If you both have 1, then they just cancel each other out, and I think it goes on BPs. I think you get 1,000 points if you hold a building. Again, I'm not too sure. Basically, you need to hold the buildings. And then game 3 is meet and engagement, which is kind of meh. I don't really mind that mission. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It changes the deployment a little bit. Forces you to potentially be able to go closer. A bit of a boost for combat armies. See how that one's going to play out. And then games 4 to 6 are just battle line, same as game 1. I quite like that. I do like scenarios, but you don't want to overdo with scenarios. You kind of want to get the balance just right, which I think they have done. You know, there's enough scenarios to make people think about how they're going to play, but not a, you know, there's not none. So it's just a straight up smash fest, and you don't want the objectives to kind of dominate the tournament. You do kind of want it just to be about playing a regular game as well. You get 300 points if you break your opponent, and 300 points if you manage to not be broken yourself. So that's a bit of an extra place to get points from. Excuse me, my phone's going off. And that's it, basically. Rules and that. It's just out of the box Warhammer. No other comp, no army restrictions, nothing like that. The field then. Most of the field, as you might expect, is gone for End Times Kane. It's just the way it is. The End Times Kane book is a ridiculously powerful book. I think out of 100 players, there is 20 Host of the Eternity King armies, which is kind of ridiculous, really, that there is literally that many of one race. You know, a fifth of the field taking one race is pretty ridiculous. But, you know, we're all tournament players. We all know where the power is, and that's what people have gone for. So I can't really knock them for that. The other thing interesting as well is out of those 20 Host of the Eternity King armies, there's like 11 Malekiths. So yeah, definitely got a big chance of having to do with Malekith this weekend. Not too sure how my list is going to hold up against him. Doesn't outright scare me, probably as much as he should do. But certainly at the same time, he's not going to be easy for my list to deal with. So kind of indifferent about Malekith at the moment. I think it's going to be as hard as it is to get rid of him. Other than that, there's nothing really out of the ordinary, except there's not many pure elven armies, which kind of goes to show that the sum is greater than, or the total is greater than the sum of its parts, as they say. All the elves combined to make a horrendously powerful army, and that's basically why people have gone down the route of mixing them together. You know, there's so many Eternity King lists. The only thing I don't like about it is all like the Eternity King lists, and particularly the Malekith lists. They're all just the same. They're all just Malekith plus a Mind Razor block plus some Cav, and then the High Elf BSB with the Banner of the World Dragon, and then Dark Elf Master and a Peg. And considering there's like 13 or 14 armies that are all pretty much like exact template, it just makes for a dull event if you pull, 2 or 3 of those armies across the tournament. It's just kind of dull for the person who has to play against it. And there's a pretty good chance that you could end up playing pretty much the same identical game twice, which is disappointing. Kind of want to keep this quick, so I'm going to whiz through my army list and then just end it. I've got some stuff to do, so I want to make this in-depth as possible, but I also don't want to be, sat here talking for an hour. So I'm going to go onto my list real quick. I did post it up in the Warhammer YouTubers page on Google+, so if you have seen this before, apologies. If not, then this is, you're going to see my list and what I'm taking. I'm going to just say briefly a little reason about why I've taken what I've taken. So my arm list is as follows. Pretty standard High Elf list. I'm going with High Elves this weekend. Just painting up High Elf Mage for the weekend. So the list is basically tech list, and then I've got 2 level 2s on light to finish off the Banishment Council. The ruling on tech list for this event is I can pick my spells for tech list at the start of each game, which is so powerful to be able to tailor make my magic phase at the start of the game. It really can turn any sort of dodgy matchup into a good matchup, and it can turn any bad matchup into an okay matchup, and it can turn a good matchup into, as good as a free victory. And then I've got the 2 level 2s on light just to boost his banishment up. Nice strength 6 banishment going off every turn, or every game. Excuse me. And then I've got 2 nobles of great weapons and 2 up armor, basically just to fill out the front rank of the white line block, push all the wizards into the second rank, make a bit of a mini Death Star. And those 5 characters are all sat in a unit of 30 white lions with the Banner of the World Dragon. It's uncomped, what you're going to do. To fill out my core, I've got 2 units of 5 Reavers with bows and musicians, 2 units of 5 Sliverhelms with musicians and champions. Went for the champions for the extra attack before reading a bit in the pack where banners might actually be useful. But I think if people are breaking my fortitude, they've won the game anyway, because all my fortitude's in 1 unit. And then to fill out core, because I didn't have any more models painted, I've just got unit 12 archers with a musician and a banner. They really have no real purpose. They can be quite good with tech list throws a couple of spells on them. Poor investment, poor economy, but hey, they're there just to fill out core. Then in my rare, I've got 3 bolt throwers and 2 eagles, and that's the list. It's basically just this big block and a bunch of chaff, really, just to keep everything away from the block, while tech list does his thing and picks up points, and the bolt throwers shoot off some things here and there. So that's the list. It's a good list, but I think it's not playing to the meta. There's a lot of lists it's going to struggle against. There's a lot of lists I'm going to walk right over, I think. I'm probably going to end up coming somewhere in the middle of the pack, because my list is so 50-50 against the armies that are turning up, that some games I can win massive, some games I'm going to lose massive if everything goes as you expect it would. The draw's been done. It's up on the Warhammer forum, which is warhammer.org.uk. And going to the latest tournament news, Sheffield Slaughter, January 24-25. Draws up in there if you want to go check it out. I've been drawing against Demons game 1, so a nice favourable matchup for game 1. Get some early points on the board, get a good victory going, hopefully. And with all respect to my opponent, it's not as filthy as Demons could have gone. So certainly pleased about that. He's basically running like 5 Heralds, 3 of Nurgle, 2 of Zinch, 2 units of 10 Horrors, block of Plague Bearers about 30. 3 beasts, 2 single beasts, 2 units of 2 nurglings, and 2 school cannons. So pretty solid. Got double school cannon. Not a lot of great cannon targets in my army, but certainly could have gone a lot filthy with that demon list, which I'm happy about, obviously. And I've got the banner of immunity to demons, and I've got a banishment, and I've got light magic. So very favourable matchup for myself. My opponent's in for a rough ride, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But I've never met him before. He could be an amazing player. He's coming to a GT, so he's got to feel confident in tournament play. So yeah, looking forward to it. I'm probably going to end this now. Put comments in below. Comments on my army list, on the comp, on the field. Anything you want to ask me about the tournament. If you're going to be there, pop a message. We'll say hello, we'll grab a drink. Predictions. Predictions is one thing that I want to do. I think I'm probably going to end up somewhere middle of the pack. Probably between 40 and 50. I'm aiming for a top 20. If I can get a top 20 place, I'll be very happy because that'll be a lot of rankings points. I really want to make a conscious effort this year to push myself up the rankings, the UK rankings. I'm going to try and get to the major big events, try and do well, try and get up those rankings, sit myself, way up at the moment. I'm irrelevant on the rankings at the moment, purely because I've only been to 2 ranked events, so I just don't have that many points. Did finish 6th in both of them, so I've got some good points out of those events. But yeah, you need to crank out plenty of events, get the points on the board. So that's my objective for this year, is to get up the rankings. So starting with Sheffield at the weekend, hopefully. So I'm hoping for top 20. Where do you think I'm going to place? Maybe I'll give a prize for whoever guesses right or closest. Who knows? So yeah, predictions below, comments, questions, whatever you want to go. I'm going to end it here. And stay tuned. I'm going to take my camera, so there will be battle reports soon after. And I am done. We look forward to hearing your comments. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Keeps those YouTubers going when you do shit like that. So cheers, guys, and peace out.